This week on Aussie JetSetter, we're flying all the way from the United States of America to the beautiful South Pacific tropical island paradise that is, of course, Fiji. We're flying on an 11-hour flight across the Pacific on the national carrier of Fiji. That is, of course, Fiji Airways between San Francisco and Nadi, on their aging Airbus A330-200 aircraft. Along the way, we delve deeper to understand why one of the most seemingly unlikeliest of carriers to operate long-haul flights to the United States actually sees considerable success. And in turn, how this airline may very well just be the most affordable option for travelling between the United States and Australia or New Zealand. But despite all this, are Fiji Airways actually any good? Sure, there's considerable cost saving to be had, but are they really worth the hassle of extra travel and transit time on what is already a very long journey? So without further ado, come join me as we put Fiji Airways to the ultimate test, see how they do as the most popular indirect route between North America and Australia in part 1 of this trip between San Francisco and Sydney. Hello, good afternoon and welcome to San Francisco, California, otherwise affectionately known as a city by the bay. If you can forgive the absolutely appalling weather where it's been non-stop rain over the last 48 hours that we've been here, cold, wet, dreary, foggy, you name it, very poor weather. If you can forgive that, it's an absolutely beautiful city. One of my favourite in the whole of the United States. As you can see, we've got the San Francisco skyline behind me down at the Wharf District. Also around, we also got here the iconic San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge. Not quite as iconic as the Red Golden Gate Bridge, but yeah, still pretty impressive feat of engineering in my opinion. Anyway, today is a really big day. Pretty well brings a wrap to my epic 2 weeks traveling around the good old US of A. This is actually my third visit now to the United States. Always enjoy coming back here. Definitely one of my favorite all-time countries to visit and travel. Just so much to do, so much variety of cities, culture, landscapes, geography. You name it, America has it all. And on this trip, really actually got to experience some new ground as well. We visited Hawaii for the first time, spent 7 days there. Absolutely loved the whole experience on the Hawaiian Islands. We also got to visit San Diego for the very first time, a city I absolutely love and can see why it's one of America's most beautiful cities to live in. Also got to visit the state of Colorado for the first time. Really enjoyed the flight in and out of Colorado and also really enjoyed the interesting city of Denver, otherwise known as the Mile High City. And of course we finished up here in San Francisco, which is a city I've visited several times before and never get sick of. The only downside about this trip to America is the crazy cost of living these days in 2025. Literally, I reckon prices have doubled since last time I was here in 2018. And just everything combined with a poor Australian dollar exchange rate, it's just expensive to travel to the US. So just keep that in mind if you are planning a trip. It's not going to be cheap. Anyway, on to tonight's flight. Really excited for this one. We're going to be flying on a new airline and to a new country for myself for the very first time. And we're going to be flying to beautiful Fiji on the national airline of Fiji, which is of course Fiji Airways. So we're going to be flying all the way from here on the west coast of the United States in San Francisco all the way to its main international airport of Nadi. So yeah, when looking for flights out of the US, I found this flight from San Francisco. Could have also got a flight from Los Angeles. Really great redemption in my opinion. I think it was 31,500 Qantas points. What was really good about it was it's really low tax. It's only $28.50 USD out of pocket for tax, which is less than 50 Australian dollars. So with points and tax, literally flying all the way to Fiji, a flight 11.5 hours, less than $50 out of hand. Really can't complain. To top it all off, I also managed to use Qantas points for the flight from Fiji all the way back to Perth via Sydney and Canberra. That was about 25,000 points, although the taxes were a bit more steeper, around 250 Australian dollars. So tonight we're going to be flying on an Airbus A330-200, which is one of Fiji Airways' older type of aircraft for long haul routes. Actually established quite a considerable network of flights from the United States to Fiji actually really have positioned themselves as a good transit alternative instead of direct flights between Australia and the US. So you can transit via Fiji these days. They do fly to Los Angeles, San Francisco, Dallas, even Vancouver. They also do fly to Honolulu several times a week. So overall, heard pretty good reviews about Fiji Airways, so really excited to see what they're like on one of their longest flights, 11.5-hour flight. So without further ado, let's get out of this absolutely atrocious weather here in San Francisco. I'll head back to my hotel, pick up my bags, we'll get on the BART subway train all the way to SFO. Yeah, come and join me as we head to Fiji tonight. Hopefully it's a good one. Before we head to the airport, let's have a look at the route information for flight FJ871 cross to Nadi this evening. Great circle distance on this one is a rather large 8,783 kilometers. Their flight time is 11 hours and 25 minutes. We're going to do it in just 10 hours and 51 minutes, however. Interestingly enough, this flight across the Pacific actually crosses the international date line this evening. So we're going to be leaving about 10 o'clock at night, arriving 2 days later at about 5 AM Fiji time on Tuesday morning. So today's journey begins on San Francisco's extensive Bay Area rapid transit system. On a train to SFO cost me US $11.15, which is pretty steep, about $17 Australian. But yeah, really not cheap at all, San Francisco's public transportation network. But yeah, it is really extensive. And yeah, it does cover the whole San Francisco Bay region area, which includes nearby cities such as Oakland. So very, very easy to get around. San Francisco is also the first city to date that I visited that has a digital transportation card. So you can get their local Clipper card through your favorite smartphone digital wallet. As you're not getting a physical card, there's no actual cost to acquire it. In fact, you can actually install it on your phone and top up through Apple Wallet or Google Play or whatnot, perhaps even before you arrive, so it's super convenient. And just like that, welcome to SFO, otherwise known as San Francisco International Airport, located approximately 12 miles southeast of downtown San Francisco. You'll find SFO the largest and by far the biggest airport in the whole San Francisco Bay region. According to the latest 2024 statistics, FFO serviced a staggering 52.2 million annual yearly passenger movements facilitated through the airport's 4 runways. Despite the staggering number, still is only the second busiest airport in California. That is of course behind that of Los Angeles International, LAX as they call it. Even so, it's also the 13th busiest airport in the whole of the United States and 29th busiest in the whole world by passenger traffic. Anyway, today we're flying out of San Francisco's International Terminal, which interestingly enough is the largest international terminal in the whole of North America. And a fun fact for you, due to San Francisco's infamous reputation with earthquakes due to its location along the San Andreas Fault, it is actually the largest building in the world, built on base isolators to protect it against earthquakes. Anyway, on to check-in for Fiji Airways, you'll find it at row 8, adjacent to the Qantas check-in desk, which is quite unsurprising considering the two airlines have quite a strong partnership. Even actually booked this flight with Qantas points. Anyway, we're here about 3.5 hours prior to departure. The official check-in window doesn't actually start to about 3 hours before. And yeah, there's already a bit of a queue forming. Didn't appear to be able to use the self-service check-in kiosk here at SFO, so all done the old-fashioned way. Once the counter did open 3 hours before, it was a short wait to get through. All pretty hassle-free, the whole check-in experience. Fortunately, Fiji is a very easy country to visit for Australian citizens, and I believe also for US nationals. No visas are required for tourism purposes. I think you get a 4-month maximum stay. So yeah, no paperwork or anything like that really required. I think they may have just confirmed my onward travel plans out of Fiji, but aside from that, it was all very easy indeed. Anyway, then on to TSA security, which has become very commercialized here in the United States. Programs such as TSA PreCheck really have become bigger than sliced bread. Other programs such as Clear also really seem to be quite popular. This program allows you to skip TSA identity checks through facial recognition technology. As a rather infrequent visitor to the US, really don't see much need in paying a significant amount of money to sign up to these programs, which for the most part only help you skip additional security processes that don't even exist flying domestically in Australia. And as always is the case when leaving the United States, there's no outgoing immigration process, same as in the United Kingdom. No e-gates, no counters, nothing to really remind you that you're leaving the country aside from duty-free stores. And to make matters even more bizarre, you've got international flights and domestic flights leaving from the same gates. Saying I'm certainly not that used to predominantly travelling through Asia Pacific airports. Anyway, before we go to one of the several priority pass lounges available here at SFO, let's dash over to the gate first, see if we can get any glimpses of our plane. Don't quite make it all the way there. Looks like our Fiji Airways A330-200 is parked up on a remote stand. Also nearby I saw a Qantas Boeing 7879 Dreamliner readying for its departure on the long flight back to Sydney, which is always a very cool sight to see your home carrier on the other side of the world. Anyway, it's been an expensive couple of weeks here in the United States, so I really don't want to spend one more penny. So let's head to a priority pass lounge now to kill some time and get some free food and drinks. Got a choice of the China Airlines Lounge, the Golden Gate Lounge, or the Virgin Atlantic Clubhouse here at SFO. China Airlines Lounge is not open at this time, so yeah, really a no-brainer to go to the Virgin Atlantic Clubhouse Lounge. Anything, the name sounds very fancy, and yeah, airline lounges are usually better than independent ones in my opinion. First impressions, probably not as flashy as I was expecting an airline branded international lounge to be, but yeah, it's still certainly not bad at all. It's got a tended bar and also a very limited self-serve buffet selection. Also pretty good views of the airfield as well, particularly the international carriers departing from SFO. Onto the bathroom, there's also individual bathroom / shower suites. Well, I'm pretty sure at least if you're on priority pass you're going to have to pay to use the showers. On that point, it brings up an important matter, that is of course the differential food, beverage and service offerings that you can expect when visiting during priority pass hours, that is compared to when visiting for Virgin Atlantic flights. That is, anything substantial food wise or anything remotely fancy drink wise is all charged for. Anything in the buffet is still free, so I managed to make myself a reasonably tasty Caesar salad. Also ordered some free kimchi ramen noodles, which actually tasted really good. And if you can settle for a Budweiser or a Rolling Rock as your poison of choice, you've still got free drinks on the house. I dare say soft drinks and some other house booze is free as well. Anything more substantial such as hot meal options are all chargeable but delivered to your seat. To be honest, the prices seem fair and this is perfectly reasonable for a priority pass lounge. To be honest, I actually appreciate the ability to buy a proper full sit down meal at a priority pass lounge. Probably a feature I'd actually use if I was flying on a low cost carrier with no proper in-flight meal to come. Anyway, as you can see, we're now well and truly on the way to the gate. Apologies, I obviously didn't film enough in the lounge. But yeah, long story short, overall pretty darn decent experience in the Virgin Atlantic Clubhouse tonight. Really thought it was good use of one of my 4 available yearly free priority pass entrances. And despite most things costing extra there, still had no issues whatsoever chilling out for 2 or so hours there. Very much enjoyed my stay. Still got plenty of free food and quite a few free drinks as well, so absolutely no complaints. Definitely worth utilising a lounge such as this, especially in North America where airport prices are incredibly expensive. Anyway, it's now on to gate A12 at the end of the terminal building where our Fiji Airways Airbus A330-200 is departing tonight. Quite bizarrely, while it's mainly international flights departing from here, there's also a Frontier Airlines flight bound for Denver. On to tonight's A330-200 taking us to Nadi. Fortunately, we've been handed a bit of a dud gate here, so no real great views, but nonetheless we're flying on Delta Quebec Foxtrot Juliet uniform. Essentially been flying for Fiji Airways the whole time since May 2013. That being said, the first few months of this aircraft did actually fly under the former name of Fiji Airways, that is of course Air Pacific. And just like that, boarding is pretty well announced on time, just prior to 10 PM. Very much done in groups here at San Francisco. I believe I am in the last boarding group tonight. Or at the very least, it seemed like there wasn't many people behind me left to board. And just like that, after several weeks in the United States, we're finally getting out of the country. Getting into the USA in classic American fashion is a very drawn out process, but leaving seems to be an absolute breeze. And just like that, absolutely thrilled to be on a Fiji Airways aircraft for the very first time, and more specifically, welcome aboard their Airbus A330-200 aircraft. On board you'll find a total of 273 seats in a 2-class configuration. Up the front of the bus you've got 24 business class seats in a 222 configuration. These consist of angle flat seats with approximately 170 degrees of recline. These seats are stated to have 60 inches of seat pitch and a width of 21 inches. Out the back, however, in economy, the remaining 249 seats are set out in a 242 configuration with approximately 31 to 32 inches of seat pitch and a seat width of 18 inches. And after a very long walk, welcome to seat 36B, where you'll find a cushion and blanket at your seat. You'll also find a 9-inch entertainment on demand IFE screen with USB-A power, also remote control for that as well. Also got a very standard fold back tray table that also extends out, along with your in-flight literature consisting of the safety demo card, the in-flight sickness bag, and also the in-flight magazine. Finally, last but not least, you'll also find vacuum sealed economy class headphones.
Ready, assisting through the night as well. You've got a fantastic team looking after you at the back. I'm sure they're going to spoil you with some wonderful Fiji hospitality. Flying time is 10 hours and 45 minutes. The weather's forecast to be a little bit bumpy climbing up out of San Francisco, as you've seen for the last few days. Quite unstable weather, but as we head further west, it should clear up nicely, and then onwards into Nadi. Isolated chance of some thunder showers tomorrow morning, but otherwise it should be a nice day there with some nice hot temperatures. So if you're escaping the cold, you're going to the right place. Day regulations: please don't congregate in the galleys or outside the toilets in any large numbers. And we'll chat to you just before our descent into
Fiji Airways flight FJ871, operated in partnership with Qantas, British Airways and American Airlines. A special welcome to our Tambo Club and one all Emerald, Sapphire and Ruby members. We'd like to have you flying with us. Today, leading our journey across the Pacific to Nadi, he is Captain Michael Cavani, and he is assisted by First Officer Mark Haley and Second Officer Ritik Reddy. We have an expected flight time of 10 hours and 45 minutes. Your cabin crew is here for you. We invite you to sit back, relax and enjoy our service. Pilaka.
Electronic devices, such as laptops and notebooks, must be stowed away prior to takeoff and landing.
And we're now pushing back from the gate, taxiing out to the runway here at San Francisco International. Being on the whole, don't have the greatest views out the window, but nonetheless, sit back, relax and enjoy the best glimpses of our departure out of San Francisco tonight. And then once in the air, I'll go over what you can expect on board on the San Francisco to Nadi Fiji Airways A330 experience.
When opening overhead lockers, please be mindful as items may have moved during takeoff. Do ensure to follow lighting indicators to minimize lavatory queues. Guests opting to use personal electric devices are requested to use headphones for the comfort and well-being of those around you. Grilling tea and coffee. Additionally, our bars will be open throughout the flight. It will close 40 minutes before we land. After supper, snacks will be available in the galley for your enjoyment.
Now that we're well and truly on our way to cruising altitude, let's go straight to the first of the onboard meal services of tonight's overnight flight. That is, of course, the late night dinner service, which got underway about an hour or so after takeoff. Being at the back of the plane, it did take a little bit longer to, however, get to me. My apologies, I didn't quite 100% remember what I ordered tonight, but I think it was a chicken casserole stew, which came accompanied with a plain bread roll, a chocolate mousse dessert, and also some sort of salad. On top of that as well, you also got your choice of drink from the bar, which included a wide range of soft drinks, tea, coffee, and alcoholic options. Which of course I tried a local Fijian beer. As for the meal, it was pretty mad, to be honest. Certainly not a great meal in the skies. Probably only give it about a 5 out of 10. Bit disappointing. And yeah, the beer Fiji Gold very much looks like a knockoff of Queensland's iconic 4X Gold. In terms of taste, it's probably more in line with the slightly stronger, more flavoursome 4X bitter. So in summation, it's pretty much an okay beer. Nothing shocking, but nothing to write home about either. Certainly better than the watery stuff that is 4X Gold, however. Now straight on to the in-flight entertainment on Fiji Airways on the A330-200. As you can see, we've got a 9-inch IFE screen. Fortunately, it's a pretty archaic system in my opinion. First things first, I can't help but notice it's incredibly unresponsive. Very glitchy moving through the options. And yeah, to be honest, the entertainment options on Fiji Airways leave a lot to be desired. There is a range of movies, also TV shows, in addition to listening content, children's content, in-flight moving map, and also games. Not really a movie person, only really watch reality TV and or documentaries. Yeah, in this regard, there really is little on Fiji Airways. So much so I literally couldn't find anything of interest for this 11-hour flight. So basically the only thing I'm using IFE for on this flight is the in-flight moving map, which is much appreciated, but even that isn't the most modern or flexible of systems. So long story short, highly recommend you load your own device up with entertainment options for your next Fiji Airways flight. I certainly did. Had downloaded a number of documentaries to my own MacBook through YouTube Premium, which is the only really way I kept entertained on this flight for a few hours before trying to get some rest. Anyway, let's have a look at one of the 8 onboard lavatories on the A330. To be honest, probably slightly more spacious than your typical narrow body aircraft lavatory. Overall, it looks in pretty good nick. Also seems to be kept fairly clean. Probably about 1/3 of the way through the flight at this point. Got all the basic necessities you need as well, including a baby change table. So yeah, no real complaints there. Now back on my seat, not much more to do than sit back, relax and settle in for what's going to be a long night flight ahead. Get some documentaries in on my own device. Also order another beer. This time I have to try the Fiji Bitter. Okay, this beer looks and tastes like a knockoff of another iconic Aussie beer. That is of course Victoria Bitter. And yeah, I must say this one is definitely a bit more on the money. Actually quite enjoy it. Aside from that, not much to report about for the next 3 or 4 hours of the flight. Seating itself isn't overly that comfortable, to be honest, especially for a long haul flight. Sorry I failed to show, but the seating has a slightly adjustable headrest and also a modest amount of recline. Really is the legroom situation that lets Fiji Airways down. Isn't that great, to be honest? Probably choosing the twin aisle seat probably was a good choice for this flight in terms of a regular economy class seat. Just gives you the flexibility to get up and move around the cabin at free will throughout the flight.
Enjoying our Fiji Airways service. Shortly your cabin crew will be into the cabin. We're serving you breakfast. Our meal of choice for this morning is the peppers and cheddar cheese omelette. This is served with paprika roasted potatoes, sorted spinach and grilled chicken. vegetable poha paratha.
And just like that, after literally skipping a whole day eating, as we literally fast forward past the international dateline onto Tuesday morning, breakfast is now being served several hours before our landing into Nadi. And I decided to go for the cheese omelette with roasted potatoes and chicken sausage with spinach. Also came accompanied by a muffin, small amount of fruit, also some fresh yogurt, along with juice and a little bit later on coffee. Whilst again this meal certainly didn't win any awards for presentation, I must say it was by far the better of the two meals I had on this flight. Actually quite enjoyed it, and it's really hard to stuff up a hot breakfast in my opinion. And yeah, the orange juice was really refreshing after a long flight. Yeah, definitely needed that coffee as well. Not sure why I didn't get milk with it however. Then shortly after brekkie, incoming passenger arrival cards were handed out for Fiji. Not sure if it's a case of we copied them or they copied us, but yeah, it seems remarkably similar to the Australian incoming passenger card. Just a little bit more professional, the Fiji one, with a bit more room to write your details. They do seem to have a bit more of a generous duty-free booze and cigarette allowance than Australia, though the biosecurity and customs questions are much the same. Much like Australia, they'll also play a declare or beware customs and quarantine video before you land.
And agricultural resources from foreign pests and diseases. We require that you declare or dispose all food items, plant or animal products in your possession. If unsure, tick yes or seek assistance from a friend.
O'clock in the morning, Tuesday, the 4th of Feb. Time difference between San Francisco and Nadi. Nadi is 20 hours ahead of San Francisco. If you care to reset your watches, time in Nadi right now is 4:29 a.m. On behalf of the entire Fiji Airways team, thank you for choosing to fly with us. Vinaka.
And just like that, after 11 hours in the air and skipping a whopping 20 time zones ahead of San Francisco, now about to make our descent into Nadi just before sunrise. So what better time now to sit back, relax, and again enjoy the best glimpses of what I could get outside the window from the aisle. And then once on the ground, I'll go over my final thoughts and feedback on the Fiji Airways Airbus A330-200 long haul experience.
We are now approaching the terminal, and for your safety, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened. Please remember to check your seat pocket and obey the locals for your personal belongings once the seatbelt sign is switched off. When opening overhead logos, take extra care as items may have moved during the flight. For those who held onto the headset, we ask the legal seat as you disembark. We hope you've enjoyed the entertainment. On arrival at terminal, our staff will be available to assist you further. On behalf of Captain Michael Kavanagh, First Officer Mark Haley, Second Officer Ritik Reddy, and the entire cabin crew, we trust you've enjoyed the flight with Fiji Airways and our codeshare partners, British Airways, American Airlines, and Qantas. It's an absolute pleasure having you on board. Look forward to welcoming you back on your next flight. It is here we say, Vinaka Vakalevu, and welcome to our home.
And just like that, Bulla, and a very warm welcome to beautiful Fiji. As we step off this aging Airbus A330-200 this morning, can't believe it'll be that the first time I step foot in this beautiful country, despite visiting over 50 countries by now. Which, to be honest, I'm quite surprised with myself considering Fiji's close proximity to Australia. Anyway, before I wrap things up with my final thoughts and verdict on the Fiji Airways experience, let me just offer a few thoughts on why I think Fiji Airways have been very successful in pushing into the United States market. Sure, Fiji is a beautiful and a very popular tourist destination, but it is a fairly small Pacific island country with a population shy under 1 million people. Sure, it's an easily accessible holiday destination for Australians, but from the mainland of the US, it's a minimum 11-hour flight away. But how has Fiji Airlines seen considerable success flying these long-haul routes to cities such as Los Angeles, San Francisco, Dallas, Vancouver, and even Honolulu? To be honest, I really doubt these long-haul routes would succeed as a single point-to-point service. Instead, Fiji Airways have really been successful in creating Fiji as a transit market between New Zealand, Australia, and the US. Even if there seemingly was no need to, considering there's no shortage of direct international flights. I think a lot of Fiji Airways success really comes down to its affordability. Often is the most affordable way to travel between Australia or New Zealand and the US. So much so, I've seen fares less than $1,000 return, which otherwise would be absolutely unheard of on the legacy carriers on the direct flights these days in 2025. So I think it's really just a case of Aussie and New Zealand consumers voting with their wallets. When faced with the opportunity to save many hundreds of dollars on flights, a few extra hours transit time in Nadi really is no problem. Or even better, you can use it as a great excuse to have a bit of a holiday in Fiji on the way back home, just like I'm doing today. Anyway, let's now catch up with my pre-arranged transport, head to the hotel where I'll be able to check in straight away despite it only being 5 in the morning as I booked the night before. Yeah, a little bit later in the afternoon we'll wrap up today's review. And just like that folks, Bulla, and a very warm welcome to beautiful Fiji. Really interestingly, despite visiting well over 50 countries now, believe it or not, this is actually my first time visiting Fiji. Only been in the country about 12 hours or so, and so far can certainly say I've been thoroughly impressed. Anyway, we're here in the tourist heartland of Nadi. More specifically, we're on the western side of town at Waiolo Beach, also adjacent to the Nadi International Airport, which is of course the main international gateway to Fiji, which we flew into at 5 AM this morning. Anyway, on to the Fiji Airways experience. First time ever flying them last night. And yeah, what more can I say about the experience? Overall, it was a pretty acceptable experience in my opinion. Definitely some mixed feelings about the whole service. Definitely think the soft product on Fiji Airways is pretty good. Pretty good catering on this one, and the hospitality is really excellent on Fiji Airways. Really hard working crew. Really appreciated that. The flight left on time. It arrived on time as well. It's very punctual, so no complaints there. Only thing Fiji Airways does probably get let down a little bit, especially with the A330-200 aircraft. It is a bit of a dated product. The hard product is probably a little bit disappointing in my opinion. The leg room is a little bit cramped, especially for these long haul flights to and from North America. And yeah, also thought the entertainment selection was pretty limited. Very little stuff that actually interested me, especially in terms of TV shows. The IFE screens were really non-responsive. But aside from that, getting it as a points redemption, I think it was 31,500 points and 28 US dollars in taxes. It was definitely an excellent redemption. So a great way to break up the journey back from the US to Australia. I do know, however, Fiji Airways do deploy the much newer, more modern Airbus A330 aircraft on some of their longer routes as well, such as Los Angeles, Dallas, and I think even maybe Vancouver. Also flying on the A350 with Fiji Airways to Sydney in a couple of days time. That's obviously a much shorter flight, but yeah, definitely on an aircraft that does fly on the much longer routes as well. Really looking forward to being able to compare what the two Fiji Airways wide body experiences are like. Anyway, if you have enjoyed last night's flight review on the Fiji Airways Airbus A330-200 all the way across the Pacific from San Francisco, I certainly enjoyed it. Hope you have as well. If so, really appreciate it. Could just give it a like, maybe leave your comments down below, maybe share amongst your family and friends. And of course, if you haven't already, if you do enjoy my content, whatever brings you to the channel, please do consider subscribing to the channel, clicking that bell and notification button on so you won't miss the next flight review, such as my Airbus A350 flight review with Fiji Airways coming up to Sydney in a couple days time. In the meantime, you can also visit my website aussiejetsetter.com.au for latest flight reviews, interesting news, destination guides, frequent flyer hacks and more. Maybe even check out my dedicated Instagram page, catch up with what I'm doing around the world in real time. Maybe even check out my dedicated Discord server for fans and community of the channel to discuss all things aviation and travel. Anyway, from beautiful Waiolo Beach here in beautiful Fiji, thanks so much for watching the flight review on Fiji Airways, and until next one, safe travels, wherever that might take you.